Simmons, go out there and kick butt this year for the Cardinals. I hope that you do, but this made all the sense in the world. It would not have made sense and would not have been on brand with anything they did this offseason if they would have picked up his option.
Yeah, it's just suddenly it doesn't match up what the philosophy is organizationally, right? Monty Ossenfort, Jonathan Gannon, the type of and caliber of linebackers that Jonathan Gannon coached up. It was an undrafted free agent in TJ Edwards that he turned into a guy who got the bag this offseason from the Bears. It was a guy in Kazir White that they brought in on not a huge lucrative contract that isn't 6'3", 240 pounds and ran a 4.3. He's fast. He's a speedy, undersized linebacker that knows what his role is on any given down. Jonathan Gannon's going to have a plan for Isaiah Simmons this season, no doubt about it. And I'm sure he's going to want to tap into and help Isaiah Simmons tap into that skill set. But as far as picking up the tab on a fifth-year option for over $12.5 million or franchise, I'll tell you right now, they're not picking up a $20 million franchise tag bill. That's for sure. What's going to happen is Isaiah Simmons can play himself into a decent deal next offseason, and it will benefit both sides. The Cardinals will get good football on their defense, and Isaiah Simmons could hopefully get a good contract next offseason. It's unfortunate. And it's not Isaiah Simmons' fault that Steve Keim couldn't help himself by taking him 8th overall in the 2020 draft, because he saw this uber versatile, the Swiss Army knife that he had no clue how to deploy. It's like if Johnny got his chance to hang out with a 10. He just wouldn't know what to do.
Hey, that's inappropriate. Happily married man. No. It's like if I went and bought if I went to Home Depot and somebody was trying to help me buy tools, it's like me, like Ron Swanson passes me. He's like, I know more than you. Right. It's like, I don't know what I'm doing with a set of pliers or whatever. That's the appropriate comparison. Come on now. All right. Isaiah Simmons, though, he's not a 10. You know what he is? He's not a 10. He's not a 12. He's not a $12.5 million player. He's a year-to-year guy. He's a G-A-J-A-G. He's just a guy. Screwed that up.
Wow.
He's just a guy. He's just a guy right now. He's just a guy because his position, which he doesn't have one, but if he did, are the two of the most devalued positions in the NFL. Inside backer, safety.
Yeah, I mean, it's reaching running back level. It really is.
You want him on your team. Okay, and I think that's what everybody's confused about. Of course, the Cardinals would like him on a rookie deal. They would love for him to be productive. You would prefer to take his caliber of player in the 3rd or 4th round, right? And so that's why it's frustrating when you're like, okay, we want him around, he's productive, and we can use him all over the place. I'm sure when they tell you they're excited to use him, that's not bullshit. That's not a lie. They are excited to use him, but they're not excited that he was mismanaged and he has no years left on his remaining rookie deal, and they're not going to pay him $12.5. He's not a $12.5 million player. Come on. He can't stop the run. He can't rush the passer from the edge. He's got no bend, right? He got smoked. Travis Kelce smokes everybody. I get that. But, he can't cover tight ends, or at least Vance Joseph didn't think so. He's putting him in the slot. I trust Jonathan Gannon with DBs maybe more than anybody in the NFL. That's his bread and butter. So if he thinks that Isaiah Simmons should play safety, then you need to play him at safety this year. I don't want to get into camp and then having him when Bo's there and they're covering camp, he's with this position group and this one and this one. Put him in a spot. Look at his skill set. You've had all year, all offseason to watch tape. Pick a role. Pick a role and say, we're going to put you here. We think you're going to have robust statistics and work your ass off and then go make a bunch of money next spring. But unless that position is putting your hand in the ground, Hassan Reddick style, or a 4-3 outside linebacker racking up 12 sacks, then they're not going to pay you. Because even if you excel, the positions that you excel at are not worth paying in today's NFL. I'm sorry. They're paying Jalen Thompson and Budda Baker already. It's not going to work out. And they don't want to pay their linebackers. Kazir White is making what? $2 million, $3 million a year on a 2-year deal. That's what they want to do. That's how they want to operate. I'm not taking a victory.
It's the new philosophy, and it's not on Simmons, it falls on the shoulders of the previous regime and the missteps that they took previously in drafting and their philosophy, which was flawed as far as building teams and not emphasizing premium positions. Because when you're a jack of all trades and not a master of none, you don't have a premium position. And the best thing that could happen for Isaiah Simmons this season is for teams next offseason to be able to identify where he excels, where you can plug him into your defense, and where he can make plays for you. The team that's willing to pay him the money. And, does this pretty much just solidify that this is going to end in divorce? Probably, right? Even if it's like Jonathan Gannon, Nick Rallis, they were able to unlock the beast or unlock, his superpowers. There's still going to be that resentment, like, well, you guys didn't believe in me enough to pick up my 5th-year option. I mean, that's fine. That's just how it goes. But it doesn't mean that they can't be amicable by when it's all said and done.
Isaiah Simmons' best shot. And then, again, I am not putting this on Isaiah Simmons. He was drafted by a dysfunctional GM and I think a very stubborn defensive coordinator. It was the perfect storm, right? Had he gone to somewhere where they had competent people in place and a plan, he might have succeeded in having a contract already. It's a big reason why Hassan Reddick was allowed to leave, because they didn't know what the fuck they were doing. And so he goes and he has a great year in Carolina, and he goes to Philadelphia, and he's one of the top 5 to 7 pass rushers in the NFL. And Kimes having him play stand-up inside linebacker. So I'm sure there's a big part of Isaiah Simmons like, hey, guys, I kicked ass at Clemson. I was the Butkus Award winner. Everybody wanted a piece of my shit, and I went to your franchise, and you screwed around with my development. I'm going to come and kick ass this year, and I hope that he does. Yeah. But we're just at a point now where there's no going back.
And there it is in the chat. Brian saying comp pick for Simmons. Yeah, I think that's what you can hope becomes that's best case scenario at this point, right? I mean, as far as him becoming and being one of your top players on your defense, like each and every down, relying on him to make a big play, I think that ship has sailed, right? And that it could, come to a little bit of a reality in his final year. But as far as what he could give you in return now going forward, it's probably a comp pick, right?
I think that's best case. Yeah, like
best case.
A 4th or a 5th round comp pick. And we were talking, Bo, about his value Friday night. It's like, what off air or maybe on air? What would you give for a trade for Isaiah Simmons, right? And I think the most
it's beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I mean,
it'd be like a 4th round pick.
Right.
I think
it would have to be somebody that has a big old half glass full glass of Isaiah Simmons. Like, hey, I can do it. I can turn. And there will be, confident DCs out there that say, hey, I can turn this guy into the star that he was at Clemson. But, it just, show me the case study. Show me the evidence that show, there's like one uber versatile player on a defense in for the Chargers that you can say, okay, there's one guy, and then that they don't exist around the league. It's not consistent on every NFL roster because it's tough because of what you're doing and trying to drink from a fire hose as far as learning 6 different positions, which that was the number his first year in the league. Like, in coming to Isaiah Simmons' rescue here is he had to learn 6 different positions after being drafted in a pandemic season. I mean, it was absurd what the Cardinals had expectations for him, given where he was coming from and when he was coming from and what he was given as far as coaching staff. It's ridiculous.
There's also whispers that he just isn't a football addict, a football junkie. Not that he doesn't love football, but I mean, you've heard those whispers before. Those are out there. The people have been putting that out there for about 2 years plus. And then Vance Joseph benching him after the first game against Travis Kelce. Vance Joseph had all offseason to formulate a game plan against Patrick Mahomes with Isaiah Simmons, and he set him up for failure. And there
remember
were people
week 1 of his career?
Yeah. Isaiah Simmons,
the 49ers.
Yep.
Yes.
Raheem Mostert ran a slant against Isaiah Simmons, beat him for a touchdown. Vance Joseph literally benched him for like the next 6 weeks, right? And he would get on the field and he would flash. The Cardinals screwed this up. Like they screwed up a lot of stuff in the Keim Kingsbury era. But he was, you know what he is, Bo? He's an unfortunate casualty of the new regime. The fact that they're not picking
No.
You don't think so?
He's a casualty of the old regime. It's left over. It's he's paying for the sins of the previous regime, no doubt about it.
Well, Gannon and company are. Ossenford and company are.
Yeah, Gannon and Ossenford are just operating at what they view as a successful way to run the football business side of football operations. I mean, you just can't. It wouldn't be in their best interest to invest in a guy that at $12.5 million for a fifth year that this new regime wants to invest significantly less, a quarter of that in what they're going to pay linebackers.
All right, let me ask you this. You classify Isaiah Simmons as a bust. Is Isaiah Simmons a bust in your opinion?
I don't think so. I don't. I mean, look at his numbers. His numbers were pretty gaudy last year. I mean, what do you have? 4 sacks, 2 picks, close to 100 tackles. He had 100 tackles the previous season. But to say that he merit the 8th overall pick, and when you look at who was on the board, when you see guys, I mean, just look at this draft class. I mean, there was a ton of fifth-year options that were no-brainers, right? Like a Tristan Wirfs. You had CeeDee Lamb you had Justin Jefferson in the same class. It's tough. It's a big, jagged pill to swallow. But as far as, is he a bust? No, he's not a bust by any stretch.
I think I would disagree. I think because of where he was drafted.
You're a harsh grader.
No, I'm not. Again, if he's the
71st overall pick, as far as this is concerned.
I'm going to tell you, if he's what's the kid out of Stanford they just took? If he's the 94th overall pick, or if he's an early date, we have a different conversation. That's a productive player. You're the 8th overall pick. You have to live up to being drafted over about 99% of your peers. CeeDee Lamb went after you. Tristan Wirfs, you better produce. Only 7 guys were taken in front of you. He is a bust, in my opinion. If you're getting benched, albeit by Vance Joseph, in your third year, right? And I know we had one coordinator.
That's not on
time. You're putting all that on Vance Joseph.
He got benched because he got torched by Travis Kelce. That list is very long.
But it's Budda Baker and Zaven Collins would die for Vance Joseph. They wanted him to be their next head coach.
Is very unfair. I think it's
I think there are different levels.
He played every single game. He's never missed a game. 16, 17 games played in all 3 of his professional seasons.
Blaine is correct. Put Blaine's comment up one more time. There are differentiating busts. Blaine's comment hit the nail of the head. Where is it? Let's find it, Sean, real quick. Here it is. 8th overall and not picking up the option, you're a bust. That's it. You're a bust.
That's because the organization was a bust. That's not Isaiah Simmons' fault. He had
Thank you, Sly.
105 tackles and then 99
tackles as a statistic to me on this podcast
last year.
You're insulting the audience when you throw tackles out.
No, I'm not. To say there's different tiers of bust, no, you're either a bust or you're not. And his numbers tell me otherwise. His circumstances also tell me otherwise.
I want him to turn his career around, and if he balls out for Jonathan Gannon,
like what do you need him to do?
I'm not.
What do you want him to do?
Okay, you take a linebacker top 10.
Yeah,
you got to be Luke Kuechly-esque. You got to be that good, right?
Otherwise, you're a bust. If you're borderline Hall of Famer.
You're not getting your 5th-year option picked up, and you're the 8th overall pick. You're a motherfucking bust. It's not like you can't play in the NFL. Solomon Thomas was 3rd overall to San Francisco, whatever it was that year behind Mitch Trubisky, right? Didn't get his 5th-year option picked up. He's an NFL player. He got another contract, right? But you're just not going to pay him money. You're a top 10 pick, and you don't even get. I can understand maybe like get your 5th-year option picked up, but then you can't figure out the contract. Then somebody walks, right? You're the 8th overall pick, and they won't commit $12.5 million. Position aside, you were not warranted that pick, which means you're a bust. Where do you think Isaiah Simmons should? He didn't have his.
So, and I don't disagree with the organization's decision to decline it.
If they did a redraft of that draft, and we'd have to look at it, where do you think it's appropriate for Isaiah Simmons to be picked?
Probably late 20s.
You think he's still a 1st-round pick?
Well, I mean,
think Isaiah Simmons, if they redrafted that draft,
yeah.
You think Isaiah Simmons would still go in the first round? I don't think. No way. No way.
You're screaming right now.
You're out of your fucking mind if you think Isaiah Simmons is going in the first round. Because if he did, they would have worked all the
pedestal that you're putting on these. Look, do I wish he had a better career? Absolutely. No doubt about it. But you don't spend the 8th overall pick on a versatile, maybe inside linebacker / safety to play him at slot corner. I just, I just disagree wholeheartedly to label him a bust just because of how things transpired and that he was a guy that played on this defense. He played significant snaps, even despite the stupid use of him and how they deployed him at the beginning of the season. It's not his fault that Vance Joseph played him 30 snaps after a horrible season opening performance against Travis Kelce and the Chiefs. And then to turn around and make a game-changing – he had 4 game-changing plays. You can't say – for the people that have been labeled true busts in this game, in the history of this game, none of them made 4 game-changing plays in a season.
So I've done a little research on the side.
To say he's disappointing, fine. To say he's a complete bust is unfair.
So there have been a couple redrafts of this draft online.
Okay.
PFF did one last summer. NBC Sports did one within the last calendar year. So both of them happened in 2022. Before this season, before his game changing, neither one of those sites had Isaiah Simmons being redrafted in the first round.
Okay. Good for those draft nerds.